Good morning, everyone. Today in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 6, we find the miracle of the feeding of the 5,000. We're familiar with that. This is not the version we find in Matthew's Gospel that we are more comfortable with or that we know well. But Mark gives us this teaching of the feeding of the 5,000. It's a miracle of the time, and it's a miracle that many people have tried to explain away, sort of saying, oh, well, there's a natural explanation for all of that. It wasn't really the multiplication. It was just the people had a lot of food, and therefore they shared it out. That doesn't say anything about that in the scriptures. It's never counted. That's just speculation. So Jesus fed 5,000 people miraculously with just 5 loaves and 2 fish. And there was plenty left over. Question is, do we still experience that miracle today? Well, I'd like to suggest that perhaps we do, but not so much in the same way that people did at that time, not literally, because Jesus continues to nourish us and nourish the church today. Nourishes us obviously through his body, but also nourishes us through the example of others and nourishes us through the scriptures. And as a result, the feeding of 5,000, obviously the multitude grew, but the feeding of us today, we would hope that our community also grows. Now, we know that we've had some difficulties in the last couple of years with us not being able to get to Mass as often as we'd like to. And people have, I think, sometimes drifted a little bit. Well, that might be interesting today, just to have a look at some of the statistics about the growth of the church and where we are at the moment. Well, statistics are always dangerous to look at because it depends on who's researched them, where they've come from. But they're good to think about. Starting off, the Christianity is still the largest religion in the world. But ironically, it is the most divided. Divided into about 50,000 denominations. That's just frightening. 6,000 in South Africa. 6,000 different denominations. And some of them brought about by the most ridiculous things, like because people couldn't decide or agree on the instruments to be used during the liturgy or during the service. In talking about the numbers of Christians, of course, we've got to be careful because often we get what we call nominal Christians. People say that they're Christians, they claim they are Christians, but they in fact don't go to church. One wonders how they are nourished if they're not going to church and how they are growing. But Catholics still account for approximately 50% of all Christians. Of concern, perhaps we should look at the millennials, those people who were born in the 80s, 90s, and more recently. That particular group are the young adults of today. And approximately 25% of them acknowledge that they actually go to Mass. 25%. And they are passing on that example to those children who are growing. So it's of real concern to us. We find that church attendance is declining, and perhaps COVID might be an explanation. But we need to stand up and we need to rectify this. So at the time, let's pray, let's be an example, and let's confidently speak out and make sure that we change and bring people back to church, particularly during these challenging times. Have a wonderful day. Be at peace, and we'll see you again. God bless. Bye-bye.